Okay, let's take a look at two other kinds of the questions asking you to find the equation of a circle. And I think by now we have it down. The formula is x minus h square, parentheses square, plus y minus k, parentheses square, equal r squared, where h and k's are the center, right? Okay, now the question D said the points 7, 13 and -3, -11 are the ends of a diameter. So when I read these questions, I don't see the word center in here, and I don't see the radius. I don't see a number representing radius. I see 2 points. But do you remember we did something like this earlier when we tried to find the midpoints? That the question giving you 2 points that are the ends of the diameter. Okay, so we can draw the circle, have the same thing here. This is going to be 7, 13. Okay, you can put this number either way. That's all we got. But what we need to finish the question is have a center. And we know the location is located right here. So we need to have H, U, and K. And I think we remember what we did earlier to find the center of the circle is kind of like to find the midpoints, right? And then we also need the radius. Either one of those is the same, right? We need to find radius. So this is where the questions that didn't give us everything, all the information we need straight, but they give us enough information to find them. Okay, so let me go ahead and start finding the center. Looks easier to find the center because we practiced earlier the center of the circle. If they give you the ends of the 2 ends of a diameter, it's just the midpoint. We're going to find out the average of the 2x value. Okay, so let me go ahead and label them x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so we're going to add the 2 points, 7 plus -3. See, I do plus -3. And the 2y value, 13 plus -11. Now, if you know it's going to be minus from the beginning, you can go ahead and do that. But I want to show you, sometimes the students say, if I don't write plus -3 and I write 7 minus 3, some student will say, why are you subtracting? So I want to make sure it's very clear right here when you're watching this video that I am adding the 2x value. But because the sign changed here, so plus -3 will be 7 minus 3, which is going to be 4, okay? The only reason I'm subtracting here is because the number given us is negative. And so it's 13 plus -11, so 13 minus 11 is going to be 2, right? All right, so that's 2, 1. There you go. We have the first things that we want here. We have 2, 1. That's the center, right? So what do we need? We need the radius. Now, how do we find radius? You have a couple options here. You can use the center that we just find earlier and one of the 2 points here and to find radius because that's a radius and that's a radius, right? You just need 2 points to find the distance, which is the distance we're looking for here is radius. Or you can use the 7, 13, or you can use 3, 11. Where's the center? Or you can just go ahead and use the 2 given points and find it as a diameter and divide it by 2, right? You can do that go too. But I think that the last step is better. So I'm going to go ahead and just find the radius. And between the 2 points that given me, I'm going to choose the 7, 13 because the positive number. Okay, like I mentioned, I don't have to work with the fraction. I don't want to. If I don't have to work with the fraction, I don't want to. But so now, obviously, negative numbers or fractions. All right. So let's look at the 2x value. I'm looking at here, the 2x value between 2, 1 and 7, 13. So here now I'm not rewriting the x1, y1. Hopefully that if you feel you need it, go ahead and do that. But it's going to be 7 minus 2. And don't forget a square root, right? So the distance formula has the square root from the Pythagorean theorem. So I'm using 7 minus 2 squared plus a squared plus b squared, right? The b will be the 13 minus 1 squared. All right, so now I have 7 minus 2 is 5 squared. Now when it's positive, I don't really need the parentheses, but it becomes a habit for me. So I'm just going to put parentheses. 13 minus 1 is 12. And again, we have practiced how to find distance. You need to square the number first. 25 plus 144. I think we've done this before. This number seems very familiar. It's a square root of 169. So I got the radius. The radius is 13 and the center is 2, 1. Okay? You have other option. You can find, again, use 2 green points, the 2 ends. You're just going to deal with the negative number, which is still, it's okay. And then divide it by 2. If you find this a diameter, so diagrams help. Don't forget to divide it by 2. If you find the points you use is just a radius, the 2 points a radius, and then you don't need to divide it by 2. Okay? So now I think I'm ready to write the answer. It's gonna be x minus 2 squared plus, again, see, x minus h, right? Plus y minus k squared equal 13 squared. And let's go ahead and make it official. Means we're gonna square the 13. Okay, you can go ahead and do that earlier if you want to. And this is official. That's the final answer that you should leave it. All right, so this question, that you can see that the space is very big in the notes. And then, so when you do your homework, you will need a more space for this type of questions because it requires both formula that we learned earlier, the sections here, the distance and the midpoints. All right. The one last question, finding question of a circle, says, look at the instructions very short. It does give us a center. Centers at 4, 85. And tangent to the x-axis. Okay, now the tangent. So again, we don't have the radius. Okay, we don't have a radius. And then also, not only we don't have a radius, we don't have a point. If you don't give me a radius, at least you give me a point and I can use the distance formula to find it, right? So what happened here? Let me draw okay, so when we don't know what to do, let's draw pictures, okay? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw this circle here. So it says 4, 85. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you're going to forgive me with my circles. Not going to be really pretty. Okay, so that's just the center, right? Okay, so what it said is the circle is tangent to the x-axis. Now that's the key word right there. What's the tangent mean? Tangent means to touch at the x-axis. So my circle will be, this is the x-axis right here. My circle will be touched at the x-axis. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna be able to. Draw a very good circle, okay? Sorry about that. But this is the point right here is now the circle is going to be tangent. It's going to be touched at the x-axis. And this point is 4, 85. So what is this distance right here? This is a point on the circle, and it is also tangent to the x-axis. So this one will be the radius, isn't it? And what is this distance? This is the vertical distance, which is the y value. This number is -5. So that means the radius is going to be 5. Okay, this is -5 because go down below the x-axis, but in distance-wise, this is gonna be 5. All right, so now we actually don't need to do any calculations because we have the center, which is x minus 4 squared. And I'm gonna go ahead and write out the answer here. Y minus -5 will be y plus 5 squared, and equal the radius, the r equals to 5, so 5 squared will be 25. And this is the answer. Okay, the question seems may be difficult for some people, and at first, and because you don't know what tangent means, right? So now you know what tangent means. Drawing the picture will help you. That especially help you to find a radius. Okay, so your question can ask you, can provide you tangent to the y-axis. That you need to figure out what the radius is. If a tangent to the y, the radius will be 4. Tangent to the x is 5. Now my picture is not very accurate. I apologize for that. But if you draw correctly, that my circle is supposed to go out a little bit. Okay, because the radius is 5, not 4. So it's not touching here. Okay, I can't stand it, so I need to make it a little better. So this looks like it shouldn't be touching the y-axis. So next time I should be using the tool they gave us. So now the radius is 5 for this one. Now let's take a look at the last type of question that they're asking you for equation of a circle. That's find out what the center and the radius are when they gave us an equation of a circle. Okay, like ABC, 3 questions here. So earlier I had when they give us information and condition and asking us to find the equation of the circle, then I asked you to, after we have the answer for the circle, I asked you to think about how did you get this equation of a circle? What are the information that's given to you? So now you're going backwards, right? We're going backwards. So when you have an x minus 4 squared plus y plus 7 squared equal 25, we know the h and k's are right here. H and k's are here, and the r is right there, but it's actually r squared, right? But it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. So what is h? What is h? Right? What number would you plugging in to get x minus 4, right? So here is very straightforward. The center will be 4 because that's only the h will be 4, and the formula already have a minus sign, so it'll be x minus 4 squared, right? So h has to be positive. And then the y, what number would you plugging in to get the y plus 7? You had to plug in 87. So y minus 87 give you y plus 7, right? So that's the center. And how do we get r? Well, the r squared equals 25. If the r squared equals 25, then here definitely take the square roots on both sides. And we keep the positive because we're talking about distance, right? Radius is distance. So r is 5. So that's the answer right here. That's the answer right here. Center is 4, 87, and radius is 5. All right, so next question. X squared plus y minus 2 squared equal 8. Okay, so we did something earlier. How do we get just x without the number and subtracting 2? And that's only because you're subtracting the 0, right? So, the center of the circle will be 0, 2. And that will only give, that's the only way you will get y minus 2 is when the k is positive, right? Now, again, the r squared is equal to 8. So if r squared equal to 8, r equal to square root of 8, and that we have done this before. We want the answer to be exact, means leave us a radical, but do simplify it. So the radius is 2 square root of 2. So this is the center, radius, center, radius. All right, so last questions here. See, once you know how to go from one way, and then you take time thinking through, how did you get that to the answer? Reverse it is much easier. So the last one here, the center of a circle will be the opposite of what you see. You see x plus 1, the opposite is negative 1. When you see y plus 6, it will be negative 6, right? When you see x minus 4, the opposite is 4. All right, so, and the radius should be easier because it's square root of 10, and you cannot simplify square root of 10. So leave it as exact. Let me write this. This is we call the exact answer. Exact answer. Okay? Don't need to take out a calculator. That's the exact answer. Leave the radical, but do simplify if it can be simplified. Okay, so now it's time to do some homework questions and practice.